It was 7:18 here, Big 550 KTRS. We'll go to David Hunn here in 1 second. It's 7:20 KTRS.
I think it's very positive that we have two alternatives. We have three teams that are interested.
That's back in October. The commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, talking about a stadium vote. Well, now David Hunn breaks the story at stltoday.com that he sent a letter to Dave Peacock and saying, yeah, I know we said all this, but no, we don't agree to any of this. David Hunn, this is nothing short of a blockbuster with this vote today. David, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Yeah, it is. I think it's a reprimand more than anything. I think the NFL is irritated at the local task force, and I don't know how to see it any other way.
But it sounds like, talking with David Peacock the other day and reading your stories, it sounds like he was trying to follow exactly what they were telling him to do.
Yeah, I tell you, I am feeling bad for Dave Peacock right now. I think is honestly trying to figure out what they want from him, and at the same time balance a very tight city budget and city ability.
Right.
And it's, I think he sounded, for the first time, he sounded tired last night on the phone.
Your quote in the paper where he says, hey, look, we're just trying to build a stadium and we're trying to just do whatever it is they're telling us to do. It sounds like it's almost like the NFL has to come up with a problem or an excuse or a reason so that when they say no, they can point to the reason as to why the plan failed. Yeah,
McGraw, I think you're absolutely right. Listen, I think that there is multiple purposes for every single thing he said these days. It's like no single statement can just mean what it means. There's ulterior motives and angling and jockeying for position in every single move made, and I think this is one too. I think it means what it says, that the NFL doesn't give out $300 million regularly. I think it's a show of irritation. I think it's them covering their butts, making sure that the aldermen know that they don't give out $300 million regularly. And I think it's also, listen, you'd be foolish not to see it as something of a negotiating move, right?
Right. Well, that's right. I mean, the NFL is trying to get the last dime out of last piece of drop of blood out of a stone to get the best deal possible, which is what they end up doing. But at some point, someone's got to stand up and say, we don't have any more blood to give.
Well, I do kind of feel like that is what's happening. I mean, as I said in the story today, these guys have tried for months to get this last 75 to 100 million to build this stadium, and ever since the county dropped out, they've worked their tails off and can't find it. They can't find it in a way that the NFL agrees with.
Well, they've found it numerous times. Every time they find it, the NFL wants it.
So that's an interesting thing too, right? Like the NFL thinks that tax money is theirs. They think naming rights is theirs. They think, and I get it. I understand their business, but I mean, most people pay taxes and don't expect to get those taxes, at least most of them, back.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. The naming rights is theirs. The taxes generated by everything is theirs. The amusement tax on top of the tickets is theirs. The taxes on the hot dogs and the beer and the soda is theirs. How do they want us to pay for this?
Yeah. Well, I do think that we're seeing frustration. Kind of honest from their viewpoint. I think we're seeing honest frustration on their end also. They have been asking the task force to find this extra $100 million forever, and they just consistently don't like the answer. So, just a very interesting.
So are you hearing any rumblings from the Board of Aldermen today? What's the thought process going on there?
Yeah, they're going to pass it. They're not going to change the bill. First off, the Board of Aldermen are tired of this. Perhaps not quite as much as Dave Peacock is, but they're tired of this also, and they just want to get it done and move along. Second, there's no leadership willpower to change anything. So I talked to Jack Coder, who's the sponsor of the bill and the alderman for downtown St. Louis, and he said, "Well, listen, we've got the votes lined up now. Why would we change something and possibly screw up? I mean, remember that they also worked pretty hard, the leadership there, to get the votes in place.
Right.
I mean, as we all remember, guys like Antonio French were pretty dead set against it to start with,
right,
and voted for it in the end.
Well,
so,
and you also, David Hahn, know through your reporting from the newspaper that they got this the last minute. It's been changing constantly.
Yes.
So clearly Peacock has been working overtime trying to figure out a way to sort of thread the needle. So he's been trying to, as you say, balance all of these different entities, and the NFL for the last minute to sort of scold him and say, how dare you do this? We never agreed to that, is a complete slap in the face.
I mean, hard not to read it that way, right? I mean, I really think it is. As much as, and Dave Peacock put on a good, kind of put his best foot forward and was trying to be as understanding as possible. But like I said, you could hear in his voice that
right. So
it's just getting old.
So I certainly don't want you to reveal any of your sources, but the letter was sent to Governor Nixon and Dave Peacock?
Yeah, it was addressed to Dave Peacock and CC'd to Governor Nixon. But obviously, it's supposed to. The governor was supposed to read this. I mean, there's no question that Dave and the governor were the main targets. It also went to all the owners.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry, not all the owners. All the owners on the LA Opportunities Committee.
Gotcha.
And I believe some of the owners on other key committees like Finance and Stadium.
So they also knew that somebody was going to get this into the public domain.
Yes.
Right.
There is no question that they wanted this out.
Yeah. So it wasn't just a letter to Governor Nixon and Dave Peacock. It was a letter. It was a letter to everybody.
It was a letter to you and me and the rest of the world. Right.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. Yes, it was.
David Peacock, we'll let you get back to work. Thanks. Great job. As always, we'll read today's story, stltoday.com. Thanks, buddy.
Good talking to you, McGraw.
726, Big 550, KTRS. Well, you don't get